topic of the debate, as has already been relayed, but I'll do it again and probably set context. And then I will throw it to both the sides in terms of their opening arguments, their opening statements, and then we'll get into the thick of it. So, well, today's high-stakes debate is, can Indian IT giants pivot from services to AI products, or will startups and global players outmaneuver them? I just thought that I will set the stage and the context with this quote. In the AI era, speed beats perfection, but scale multiplies impact. So, well, I'll hand it over to the for side first. I would request the opening statement being made from the for side, and then we'll go to the against side.
Check. Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I firmly believe that tech giants like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, and so on, all these players, they have a massive scalability advantage, and they are in this industry for a long time, and they understand the ecosystem, and they are real integrator actually in terms of when they do the services to the large enterprises. So I believe these tech giants are going to take a leap of faith, and then I think a lot of massive innovation that they are doing it, with a kind of a large employee setup that they have. I believe they will leverage the manpower and the technology together with the AI innovation, and then take a large leap towards taking that first mover advantage.
Ramneek, you want to add to what your partner just said?
Yeah, I think firstly I have to say that I am a little biased to the whole India story. I think with the results that we have delivered, what we have built in terms of talent pool and talent depth in the country speaks for itself. And I also feel, Sudhi, it is a bit unfair that we assume that only scale is the advantage for the giants, when our giants have already pivoted a lot in the past, going from ERP to cloud to then providing digital analytics services for the companies. So I think they have the advantage of being giants, having great relationships with these clients, which are typically very, I would say the clients in these cases are slow moving, like like airways, banking, retail, etc., that they have been serving for years, and they have the advantage of having trust in terms of their customers' data with them. But on top of it, I think they have the ability to move faster. We now have the talent density in India to deliver what is needed. And I think we also have the ability to tap into the biggest resource that we have, which is billion plus people, but not just billion plus people, but people which are the most digitized in the world. I think UPI, Aadhaar has done what other countries have been trying to do for a very long time. They have converted this data, which was sort of unstructured, into more structured format, and given us a lot of ability to build and train models over a lot of anonymized data, of course, but then use it in other areas. So I do think this is the place where we will shine even more. And we have done it in every technological wave.
All right, fair enough. So essentially, Krupa sir and Hari sir, the against argument, but I guess if I were to very quickly sum up what is being talked about, is this: basically, will scale, capital, and trust Indian IT giants can invest in AI platforms and compete globally. In a sense, that is what has been talked about as far as the for aspect is concerned. Right. How would you like to debunk that? How would you like to...
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So the question is not about scale and capital. Not really about the talent pool that these big giants have. Right? Also, not only the trust and relationships they've created in the past. So my view is basically, there are a lot of cultural inertias that are there with these giants. Be it the risk-taking, be it the failure, how they deal with the failure, the amount of service DNA they have. So the question is basically whether they will be able to cope up with the speed and agility. If you see the AI revolution, every week you will be able to see the models evolving. So the question is basically, will these giants can cope up with the speed and agility that is really needed. And if you see the global kind of a disruption that is happening, be it with the IT, I would say the big tech giants, as well as the enterprises, so-called as the startups, doing the innovation at that sort of a pace. So the question is not about the scale, the capital,
Or the legacy.
or the legacy.
Well,
While I thought I will just put a couple of numbers, for the audience
always
to
helps,
think,
sir.
right?
Always helps.
So I'm also a big fan of the India story. Let it be Karnataka, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana. I'm a big fan of India story. But if you say, Niti Aayog says we have got close to 6 million software developers in the country, 5.8 million to be the precise number, right? We have got a 30-year-old mature IT system running in the country. But we are the only growing country in the world where we don't have a ERP system, database, indigenized LLM, a social media platform that is being used worldwide, right? If you see any other matured country, they have got some form or another, whether it's a small country or a bigger country. This number, okay, let us park this number. Okay, we are a service-based country. We make money on the labor arbitrage, right? That is where, we make money. This has to be read along with some other number. If you are somebody who closely follow the capital market, right? In last 2 years, TCS, Infosys, and HCL Tech together given the dividend to its investors a whooping 17.5 billion US dollars. 17.5 billion US dollars in last 2 years has been paid as dividends. While it is a dream for any individual investor, all what it took for OpenAI, leaving the last round of funding that has been led by SoftBank, the 40 billion they got, all the investment OpenAI has got is 17 billion to build OpenAI here, right? So this is the ecosystem we are just working. One side even, just to add a last note, you just walk out in the exhibition area, you will see 90% of the stalls are selling a service. How many products, you are just seeing there, just outside 100 meters from here, right? So we built on labor arbitrage, we built on, higher inertia, we built on comfort. It takes a big effort for our IT firms. We'll take a effort, to change the way they work and build some AI products. That is my personal take. Back to you, sir.
Fair enough, sir. Fair enough. So essentially, Kiran sir, Hari sir, what I could understand a little bit of a takeaway from there, and probably everyone, I believe, has been able to absorb that from the fact that you talked about behemoths, huge giants, having a cultural inertia. Am I right? So, well, I would like to actually start with you from that, and I will play the devil's advocate, which is always fun to do. Will clients trust an Infosys AI, and this is of course for everyone, over Microsoft Copilot?
Can you please come again?
Will clients trust Infosys AI, I'm just taking your point further, over a Microsoft Copilot? Do you believe that with this legacy, we use that word, do you feel that it carries that sense of gravitas and that weightage? And will that be the trump card that one can go ahead and say, all right, we can ride on this wave? Or do you feel that we are still far away from that because there is a sense in our minds as a collective consciousness that whatever probably is coming from outside is a little better?
See, in my view, those elements of trust and relationships are the prerequisites. It will definitely help. The question here is not the trust and relationship. How agile are you? How quick are you? Are you able to experiment on things? If you are looking only at short-term gains and kind of things, it is very difficult. So,
Okay. I add to that. Yesterday's debate, we were talking about sovereignty of data, we were talking about resources, we were talking about all those factors. Very quickly, I want to go ahead and put this point in, that do you feel that with the kind of resource, the capital and everything, these companies are probably at the threshold of going ahead and making that difference, which we are all very, very hopeful about? Do you feel that in some way or the other.
Even
Might be.
mass upskilling is not equal to innovation or AI innovation.
Okay?
Right? There needs special acumen for that.
Okay.
Right? So in my view, mass upskilling can happen, but how effective is the mass upskilling? Whether that can be equated to the AI innovation and revolution, this is a question.
Okay? Ramneek sir?
See, I think the question that we are posing, Microsoft Copilot or Infosys AI, or the amount of investments being done in this space, right? I think while these are relevant questions today, they are also not the right questions for tomorrow. Because if I may, I think we are in the point of the story where we are right now developing sort of the operating system for AI, where a lot of money is being spent to figure out who are the one or two winners who would want to have a operating system which is ubiquitous. But as soon as the operating system starts getting there, and when we get to the real world applications, which is what at the end of the day consumers or businesses end up using, that part of the story is yet to play out. And I think that is where India has a lot of advantage, because eventually between Microsoft, OpenAI, Google, etc., all of that will make sure that AI is commoditized. It is available to you as an API. And then people who are working hand in hand with the consumers, who are working hand in hand with the businesses, are the ones which will build on top of it and actually get the gains of it. This is the same story which has played out in multiple such waves of technology. Earlier it was Microsoft and Windows, and later Ubers, Amazons, etc. of the world, which are the application and the use cases which emerged. So I think all the investment right now is going in the operating system layer, and where I feel that we have an advantage and we will succeed is that once this settles out and we start utilizing it to our best to develop applications for consumers and businesses, that is where we will have our edge. And that is where these companies will use their resources and existing relationships as well as understanding of their customers to develop applications using AI.
Krupa sir, acumen was a very, very relevant and a very, very poignant point that was made by Harisa. Would you like to go ahead and please reply to that?
See, when you're talking about acumen, right? So I think behind that, a lot of skills actually, that is what is, going to make a lot of, advantage in terms of like people, I mean, the companies like Infosys and TCS and all that, they have, the skill development centers. They are, spending heavily actually. If you look at today's, figure, so I think TCS is spending almost $1.5 billion in upskilling their employees. So 350,000 employees are getting skilled on the AI and generative AI and so on, right? So similarly, Infosys also spending $1.3 billion actually towards, the AI, related developments, right? So they have already bagged some 480 projects. TCS has bagged, 580 projects.
TCS Ignio, I would just like to tell you, TCS Ignio, sir, AI platform automating IT ops. I'm just adding to what you were talking about.
Yes, right. So there is a massive, an engagement which is happening actually. It's not like, they are, traditional IT services companies and all, and lagging behind the startup ecosystem and all that, because they have that, massive, scalability and the reach towards the larger enterprises, and the experience and the kind of IT ecosystem, the hold that they have in the industry across the industry verticals. No matter it is, whether banking and finance or whether manufacturing or, they are actually everywhere. So they have, that kind of, scalability, which is acting as an advantage to them, right? So they are also, having a big partnership with, GCP, Microsoft, and, any other, tech innovation companies. And they are also leveraging that kind of relationship to build actually very, very integrated products that will directly go and, disrupt the market. That's what my feeling.
I would like for you to please respond to that, sir.
See, I would in fact compliment that. It is not about whether India will believe Microsoft Copilot or Topaz, if I recall the name right. Topaz is the AI system for Infosys. See, at the end of the day, whether you have got a product there you can believe as an enterprise or user is the question. So I will give you a small example. When Apple Pay and WhatsApp Pay was trying to get into the market, UPI managed to, UPI, right? I mean, it is one of the, in fact, only one of the fintech product, I mean,
Yes.
that we indigenously developed.
We should
cracked
be
the
all
market,
proud of
right?
it, to be honest.
Yeah, of
yes.
course.
Yeah.
We cracked the market, I mean, with that.
Sure.
If I can trust my money with some product, for sure I will trust my query some other product. I mean,
Fair
it's very,
enough.
very simple. I mean, it is
Valid
India,
point.
right? So, but the problem is whether you have something where you can scale it up to enterprise level, that is a question. So once if you have a product, then as a country, even we will also put, I mean, our sovereignty around that, right? The laws and regulations will be supporting that. We will data set has been used to train our model. But today, even we don't have that ecosystem to march to. That is the issue, right? So everybody want to use AI other than, I mean, that Ola's, you know what, that couple of LLMs that indigenously developed. We don't have too much, I mean, even, forget, I mean, we have today. We don't have even visibility also next 1 year, 2 years down the line what we are going to get. So that is a gap. But I don't think only because it is Infosys, it is not from Microsoft, we are not going to trust. It is all about, I mean, the quality and the scalability of the product that we have to be there to trust.
Fair enough. For Ramneek sir, Krupa sir, I want to ask you this. I'm going to take it up from where Kiran sir just talked about. Do you not think then, he talked about ecosystem. We don't even have the ecosystem for that matter for us to further what we are trying to achieve. These are huge giants. We established that they're IT giants. Should not that be somewhere a responsibility as far as them going ahead and providing that bedrock or that evolution or that foundational perspective to assist in building of that ecosystem to take the story further?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, I think there are two parts of it. One is the private companies. I think the company you were referring to, Krutin, Sarvam, there are companies based out of India who are doing a good job figuring out how to launch LLMs which are of indigenous languages. So that is one part of the equation. Other than that, I don't know if you are aware, but Indian government launched the initiative where all the data sets are available for people to use. It's india.ai. You can go check out the website. You can get those data sets. Additionally, they are also giving support of GPUs. So as an organization, we or anyone else can apply and they can get subsidized rate GPUs available from the government to help us build those LLMs. Now, while those LLMs will be required for our indigenous languages, I think the bigger opportunity as far as these giants are concerned is to use pre-existing LLMs, which are built in English and other languages and used to build applications on top of.
So in a way, Krupa sir, do you agree with the fact that what Ramneek just mentioned, for that matter, or I will actually bring in Kiran sir on this one. I would like to understand, Hari sir, is this. He's talked about an ecosystem and somewhere the responsibility of these giants to go ahead. He agrees with me on that. That yes, maybe it will help. It is going to go ahead and further the overall momentum. But do you think that that can also be utilized for the speed and the innovation and the reinvention aspect as far as the startups is concerned, and that will change the narrative from services to products a lot quicker? Do you feel that that might be something that could be a part of the entire discussion?
Yeah, obviously. See, personally, in my day-to-day life, I depend on AI for Bharat, where a couple of companies are working towards that realization. So, in fact, I use lot amount of data sets, a lot amount of things from these startups, right? So, obviously, the startup ecosystem is evolving. As I say always, that is one of the enablers. There is no doubt in that.
Do you believe
Yes,
that
I
the
believe.
startup ecosystem, if you're saying is evolving, do you believe in the fact that is this reinvention real, or is it investor storytelling?
I will add to this one little point. So one of the things that I try to look at is what companies like Y Combinator, who are at the forefront of this, what are they funding? They are not always right, but they at least try to be ahead of the pack. So I was looking at this announcement yesterday from them. So the phase 0, which we all are talking about right now, which is LLM creation. Then the phase 1, which is all the apps on top of it. And then there is the phase 2, which they are talking about, which they have started funding already. So phase 0 is the LLMs. In phase 1, people were creating specific use cases like agents for legal, etc. That phase is also, as far as they are concerned, is done and over-invested. And then there is phase 2, where they are saying that don't just build agents for legal, as an example. Build the full legal company which is running on AI, so that you do the full stack, hire the people who are in-depth in science or in-depth in the area which is law, and run the whole company which is running at 1/10 the cost and twice the accuracy. And that is the phase, I think, where we have a lot of advantage that we need to use to our benefit.
Sir, you were going to complete.
See, to be honest, I believe, to answer your question, if the startups or, the new age companies can build it, I think they are the only companies going to build it. So when I'm saying it is a new age company or startup, it's not necessary to be, companies with 10 people or, 1 million revenue. It can be the giants like, Infosys or TCS also. When I'm saying a startup, I mean the companies has got a bandwidth to think like a startup, right? The biggest problem of, the big companies, including us, right? I'm coming from a big conglomerate, right? When the companies are becoming big, they, then the way they operate, the things that prioritize take a different shift. They wanted to ensure that my revenue is in place, my EBITDA numbers are in place, right? So I start lacking that creativity, right? Innovation, what I want. I will build more risk components to, how I'm going to mitigate lot of risk in my operation. If you see any nimble product in the world, in the history, it has been created by a startup, even till today, at least 90% of the time. What big corporation has done successfully is identifying that and investing in that at the very early stage. OpenAI, Microsoft, YouTube, Google, you go till Instagram, Facebook, you go to any extent and see. The only thing is the startups or the companies think in a niche way, brought the innovation, and big corporation found that early enough. Some of them will just go for a toss, some of will pay off, but even if you are getting 1 right of 10, that will pay off for your thing. And the last part of my point is, when the companies are becoming big, right, they forgot that part. For example, Apple, I was talking to one of my colleagues, what time in the history when Apple innovated something new that you have to go back, 2007 for iPhone, right? After that, company became really big, right? Then the way you have to operate company, that takes a lot of energy than creating something out of new in the system. So I believe either the startups or the large corporation thinking like a startup will bring this change. Change has to come, and for sure, it is there.
That's a wonderful point. Big round of applause. That's a wonderful point. Hari sir, I would like for you to please illuminate this, shed light on this. You've worked on both sides. You've worked with behemoths. We've discussed this in the past. And you've seen the other side as well, where you've seen innovation, you've seen speed, you've seen all of that. Do you feel what Ramneek was mentioning a while back? Do you feel that that could be the way forward in terms of the fact that the responsibility of the big giants taking on the ecosystem aspects and giving, in a way, for the lack of a better word, blessings to the startups, to the innovators, to the speed pivots, and trying, because all in all, the harmony of that will definitely go ahead and benefit us on a larger level as a country.
Yeah. So don't get me wrong, I am not hardwired against giants. My perspective is still mass upskilling is not AI innovation, and a big balance sheet is not AI innovation. And having said that, I worked in startups, I worked with bigger corporations out of India also. Again, the cultural inertia, we have to get rid of that. How will we do that? How risk-taking are we? How collaborative are these big giants?
You're talking about a sense of complacency, inertia which sets in. If the services are working, so you're like, okay, fine, things are going, things are fine. Why should we risk innovation? Why should we get into products? Is that what you're probably getting at?
So beyond the service DNA towards the products and platforms. And whatever is conducive for that growth, the giants should explore. I think that is my view. And again, I am not hardwired against giants, and I am not siding with the nimbles.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. It's a very valid and balanced point. Krupa sir, how would you like to respond to that?
See, if you look at the AI, scenario right now, right? So people are on the pilot phase, right? People are just trying it out. There are a lot of hallucination and all that, right? So the trust is still yet to come, right? So in this context, I think if you look at the startup ecosystem, startups actually focusing on in a particular area, right? So once they are confident in that particular area, they will try another area, right? So, but if you look at the industry overall, okay, so everybody is trying to get into that boat of AI, right? How do I solve my business problem using AI, right? So if I go to a particular startup, then I'll be able to only touch upon only one area, right? I think that is what the sentiment which is coming out in the industry, right? But if I get hold of a large giant like TCS or Infosys or Wipro, right? So I'll give you an example. TCS is actually creating a platform called Wisdom Next, where it's a lake of multiple LLMs working together in that, right? So you'll be able to incubate all your use cases in AI, whatever actually you want, no matter what is the industry problem, right? If you feed into that, okay, I think it will give you a massive result. I think even Infosys is also investing on a Topaz platform, so where I think large language models and even small language models are all working together to solve business problems in one platform, single platform. I think that's going to be a biggest advantage for the large giants, rather than going to a particular AI startup and trying something, right? So if you look at your AI journey and then want to take it actually in a scalable fashion, I think the large giants are going to be ahead. That's what I might believe.
I'll take up from there, and I want to come to you as a collective consciousness, as an audience who has been very attentively, hopefully, enjoying this entire discussion. I'd like to take a live poll, and then I will go back to the panelists as far as their closing arguments is concerned, and then we'll open it up to the audience again. So the live poll is, gentlemen, I'd like a show of hands. Who leads Indian enterprise AI in 5 years? Those who say IT giants, please show of hands. I'm coming to that. IT giants, okay. And the other one is quite obvious, sir. Startups. Clearly, the room is fairly clear. All right, so based on that, gentlemen, the panelists, I would like for you to go ahead and close out your statements, and then we'll open it up to the audience as far as the questions are concerned. Is everyone good with that? Yeah? Thank you. All right. We'll go with the foresight first. Ramneek, you haven't spoken for a while, so if you're feeling that, I hope you don't feel lonely.
So I think now that we have concluded, hopefully, that Indian side of things are pretty much sorted in terms of delivering value and standing ahead in terms of AI. I think both startups as well as giants will have their own place. I, in particular, am very, very, again, as much biased I am about India story, I am even more biased about the startup story. So I do think that the way legal services are done, the way payments are done, the way purchases are done, the way recruitment is done, all of that will undergo a change, and the startups will be leading that change. And it will be a 10x difference, much like cloud bought that difference, or long back computers bought that difference. So there is no doubt about it, and I think that is where we will shine.
Krupa sir.
I think the giants need to tie up with the startups. And I think that's the way forward. Okay. So leverage each other.
I love how after about 20 minutes the discussion has taken that route. Wonderful. Go ahead, please.
Right. So yeah, I think it's a win-win for everyone, right? So as long as we are able to satisfy our customers' need, I think that's the way forward.
Kiran sir, Hari sir, the stage is yours.
I mean, by looking at the people in the audience and, the sponsors, where the big tech names are not there, Indian IT names are not there, I don't think, any other answer would have been come also, if you are asking for a question. But again, I will just go back to what exactly other panelists are saying, right? It is the agility that startups can make is phenomenal, right? But without a larger ecosystem, moving this to scale is where, the startups will just, have the trouble time. In the other side, the large companies, if I wanted to develop a product, it will take 3 months for them to give a quotation how much it will cost to develop that product. And after that, being a infrastructure-based company, I will take 2 months even to get 3 quotations, negotiate who is the best, then give the PO. So this is the kind of, that inertia we've just built into the system that startups can really come and fill it for. But the GP usage, the deep trusted, large enterprise level customers, the money they have got in their bank, this is where these traditional companies, and even the skill force, right? We are talking about nothing less than 5.8 million, right? That has to be upskilled. That is a separate thing that we have to deal with. But this is the advantage, the edge these large tech companies are just bringing it to the table. And they know the country also. So I believe the ecosystem should coexist. The agility can come from the niche players. It can be within the large corporations also. But between the government, the private players, the large players, that is where the larger game is.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Sir.
I would also like to add the outside-in approach of innovation. That can be a good complementation philosophy. And again, moving away from the short-term gain to the long-term gain, right? So if in short term, what will I achieve? What sort of a revenue realization I will have? These are some of the things that big giants should think about. Not only that, again, the siloed approach. Many of you, I think, Kiran, you mentioned about this, right? Processing a PO will take this much of time. So, though the AI mindset is there, the first, I would say, think AI first. This is where every organization is thinking. But this may not happen to all departments. So that is where silo versus collaboration. How the big giants can step up, utilize the ecosystem around, utilize the open ecosystems, startups who are doing well. So what is the speed that I can gain leveraging the ecosystem? Or am I okay to fail fast? Or should I just go with the conservative preservation approach? These are some of the questions that big giants should think, and they should leverage the good ecosystem around.
Fair enough, sir. Big round of applause for the panelists.